Hello, welcome to the Citrus Garden. If you're new here, my name is Christina. If you're not new here, hi, welcome back. It's great to see you. This is a reading for Aries, Sun, Moon, or Rising, or if you have significant Aries in your chart somewhere, there may be a message in here for you. So Aries, just to get started, a couple of messages that are coming through for you. The first one is that there's a Virgo reading I did about a month ago. I'll link it above for you. That may have a message in there for you. The title of it was something about a broken telephone line being restored. And I mentioned sort of like different languages in that reading, which is also coming through very strongly for you. And also specifically the line that was drawing me in to that reading was that an angel is being freed from a cage. So I feel like there's something about that reading where it's like that energy is sort of closing out for you is how it was coming through. Like there's some sort of conclusion about that energy for you, Aries. So maybe you're dealing with a Virgo, or maybe there's just Virgo energy that's relevant to you. Maybe there's something that happened in September or something like that. That's sort of like closing out at the moment for you. Another thing, as I'm filming this today, Mars is about to move into Leo this evening. So it's been in Cancer for the last couple of months and it's moving into Leo. And of course, Mars is the sign that rules over Aries. And so I feel like there's going to be a lot more movement happening for you while Mars is in Leo, because Leo is a fire sign. So it's a bit more of a harmonious energy to sort of like get things done, to like move forward, all of this Mars energy. So if there's been something that's been feeling kind of stuck or stagnant, or maybe just an aspect of yourself that's been almost like inward or hermity with the with the Virgo energy. I almost said vermin. I don't know. There's something about that. If there's been something about sort of like going inward for you, I feel like this Mars and Leo transit is going to be sort of a shift in that, of like more of an outward expression in whatever this is for you. So something about languages, which is coming through as a message for you, Aries, about maybe you are trying to learn a new language, is how it's coming through metaphorically, right? It could be something like a love language, or you're trying to learn somebody else's language, how they communicate and things like that. So there's this energy of like a translation process that's coming through for you, which is interesting because I feel like that's a positive energy where you're trying to learn something new. You're trying to communicate with somebody who speaks a different language than you metaphorically. I feel like there is progress happening there. But at the same time, there's this energy of like someone who speaks your language. Either they're like somebody in your field, or like somebody maybe that you work with, or you have a similar interest, or you, for lack of a better way of phrasing it, you speak the same language as this person. But with whoever this person is, there's a miscommunication happening, which is interesting because it's almost like even though they're speaking your language, you still don't understand what they're saying, is how it's coming through. So just keeping an eye out for that, Aries. I actually feel like the dynamics that are actually benefiting you at this time are ones where you're learning a new language. So even though there's a translation process, at least there is harmony there, because you're at least understanding what's trying to be, the messages that are trying to be sent, or the messages that are being transmitted, or that kind of thing. Anyways, I'm going to leave that there. I was seeing this card, upside down, from the modern Nirvana Oracle. It's called Squaring the Circle. So I'm going to read the description of this card for you. So it says, in alchemy, the metaphor of squaring the circle relates to mastery over our inner and outer operations. Understanding the correspondences in nature and in mathematics, the master alchemist can see the relationship between that which is above and that which is below, that which is within and that which is without. They are able to see the significance of all the changing seasons, the wisdom in the differences of the elements, and the intelligence in the directions. Becoming one with the four, their vision is whole, as all transitions of time are fully appreciated. As a conceptual meditative practice, let us incorporate this idea into a breathing technique called box breathing, as we seek to master our minds and operate from the grace of self-mastery. So this comes through with this energy of, so it goes through a bit of like box breathing, right? Where if you're familiar with that practice, it's like you inhale 4 seconds, you hold 4 seconds, you exhale 4 seconds, hold 4 seconds. So it's creating a box with your breathing or squaring the circle. What I get with this card is this energy of like the circle is representing like pure energy or pure consciousness, or like, I'm just going to leave it like that. And then squaring that talks to me about like trying to put structure or trying to ground something that is like conceptual, for example. That's how it's sort of coming through. Like perhaps you have like an idea, or you have an inspiration, or you have something that's like pure energy, right? And you want to sort of translate it into the physical in some way by giving it structure, by giving it like a square, so to speak. The translation process is not going to be perfect, but it is part of the process, right? I feel like there's something like that for you. An example of this in nature that was coming through was if you think about like honeybees, the honeycomb structure, which is of course a hexagon, right? So not quite a square, but they use the hexagon to represent sort of like these storage containers, right? They store larvae, they store honey, that kind of thing. Because that hexagon shape is the most efficient shape, like as close as sort of they could get to a circle, which would be the most efficient. That's how it's coming through. This hexagon shape is sort of like the most efficient shape for bees to accomplish some sort of goal. There's something about like putting structure to something that's conceptual, or like an idea, or like the ideal, or energy in some way for you, Aries, that it's significant. So I feel like this Mars energy is going to help with that, because of course Mars as well represents like the physical body, right? Like it's coming through as like a vessel kind of energy, right? Your physical body is a vessel for your soul, right? A soul is an energy that we can't quantify, we can't measure, we can't see, but the body is what gives it structure, right? That's how it's coming through. So maybe there's some sort of, it kind of feels like an idea or an inspiration or like a vision or something that you're trying to give like a physical body, like a physical structure in some way. Okay. Okay, we're gonna take this card Sulfur with the red. And the new Pearl, yeah, the new Pearl. There's something, and Uranus, yeah, okay. I'm getting a bit of a rebellious energy for you, Aries, especially with all this Mars. But Uranus coming through is also feeling a bit like a rebelliousness, wanting to change. Maybe you're trying to change a certain structure that's not working for you, or you're maybe there's a bit of like wanting to rebel against a certain structure, wanting something to be more ideal than it is. Perhaps you're feeling limited by expectations or restrictions in some way. Interesting. Okay, there's something about okay, first of all, the song I can't say it. Nobody's soldier. I almost said shoulder. Nobody's Soldier by Hosier. That song is coming through for you. There's also something about like discovering some sort of treasure, Aries. Maybe you have access to some sort of treasure. Maybe somebody else is trying to access that, is how it's coming through. I'm going to read the Sulfur card. The new Pearl talks about grit and perseverance. It also talks about irritation as well, because of like starting something new always takes a bit of like it's a bit tricky to get something started, is how it's feeling. But the more that you work at it, the easier it becomes. Anyway, so on an esoteric level, sulfur is the first of what is known in alchemy as tria prima, or the three primes. Along with salt and mercury, it makes up a threefold phenomenon that symbolizes the uniting of soul, sulfur, body, salt, and mind, mercury. On a tactile level, sulfur is responsible for both the off-putting smells and the therapeutic properties of a mineral bath. It soothes and it stinks, literally. To understand sulfur is to embrace a both-and mentality. Don't be discouraged if the meaning of this card seems to evaporate before your eyes. For now, keep in mind that what is gross contains beauty, and what is beautiful contains its own demise. Sulfur's job is to push the geyser up and out, dissipating the pressure. Don't be surprised if what appears to suck or stink soon becomes a great gift. Okay, interesting, because this card is literally representing the soul today, which is really interesting. It feels, because I was talking about trying to give a body to a soul, is how it's feeling metaphorically, right? It could be something like an idea, or there could be something that you're connected to in the spiritual, but in your physical environment, it's not there, right? It doesn't have a physical body or a vessel to sort of be seated in. I feel like there is a change coming, though, here with the Uranus. It feels kind of like you're trying to change something, Aries. Especially because it feels like there's something about the physical environment, maybe, that is feeling very limiting to you. Okay. The new pearl is one of the great promises of alchemy. From a single grain of sand, the pearl forms slowly but surely in the salty mouth of the oyster. The new pearl emerges as an alchemical miracle, a sight unimaginable at the outset. That said, the process is generated from irritation itself. Such is the medicine of the new pearl card. The work is underway, but the gem has not yet formed. Don't become petty and hasty seeking a return on your efforts. Rather, turn to patience, consistency, and humility to remedy the discomfort. Let the magic of time and salt water do its work. Relax, believe, support a fellow alchemist in finding the grit that will become their pearl. Don't worry about you right now. The entire ocean is your ally. Okay, which is interesting because in this card, right, so sulfur represents the soul. Salt was representing the body. And so there's something here about you need salt, Aries, and it's like you are in the salt water, which is your ally today. So it does feel like there's, you are squaring the circle. You are giving form to something spiritual, perhaps. But it just takes time, patience, and consistency. But the ocean is your ally. There's a lot of resources around you. It's just like it takes time to build up a pearl. Okay, I have to read the Uranus card too, because that comes in with a bit of a different energy than that. So when Uranus strikes, we are in for a surprise, not in the outer world, but in ourselves. What wasn't possible before is possible now, thanks to Uranus and its ability to shatter our preconceptions. This shift in perspective or identity brings newfound freedom and opens up dormant energy. For an alchemist, this may be experienced as a long-awaited aha moment or a sudden stroke of genius. Inventions and innovations are born under Uranus energy. This card may also appear to show us what is particularly unique about ourselves or another. A seemingly random or idiosyncratic quality may end up being the secret ingredient needed in the laboratory. The alchemist knows this radical energy isn't sustainable, and so the work is to show up each day whether or not Uranus strikes. Yeah. Showing up each day, right? That's what's important for you, Aries. There is a Uranus energy, though, present, because it's kind of like, I talk about this card as being like trying to catch lightning, because you can't predict when lightning is going to strike, right? But there's this energy here of like preparing yourself for when it does. It's like making sure you have all of the right equipment, making sure you're set up, making sure that you have like a stable routine, or that you have everything prepared for when lightning does strike, is how it's coming through. But there is an unpredictability about Uranus energy that requires you to show up every day, regardless of whether or not lightning is going to strike on that day. Well, what are you trying to create, Aries? Maybe you have an idea. Maybe there's some like brainstorming energy that is needed or that would be helpful. Like just like creating, like writing ideas down. There's also like a Capricorn Saturn energy, especially because it's coming in with like squaring the circle, right? Creating structure for something that's not physical. So Capricorn energy is really helpful for that. I do feel that there's going to be movement for you, Aries. There may have been, oh, interesting. Yeah, okay. Okay, so you have these 4 cards, physical, right? That's the whole point of what we were talking about. You're trying to make something physical, Aries. We're going to read that card for sure. And then you have these cards. So 2 flower cards, land, flower, earth, land, animal, earth, land, flower, sun. So for me, flower represents Virgo. Maybe there is something sort of, maybe it is physical, or there is something sort of, because you have a lot of earth cards too, right? 3 earth cards. But to me, flower is like the most delicate of the earth energies. It's delicate, it's fleeting, it doesn't last a long time. Okay, I'm gonna read physical, because this is one of the 5 pillar cards in this deck. Okay, I'm gonna read this card first because it flipped open to this page. Land, flower, earth, and I feel like it has relevance to this as well. Okay, so it says, the heart already knows what the eyes squint to perceive and what the mind struggles to figure out. The essence is the true nature of one's being. There is no logical equation we can plug into the intellect to home in on essence. Essence is felt. Essence is intuited. The knowingness that allows us to connect with another's essence cannot be quantified by science. To really understand this world, and I mean really understand it, you must connect unconditionally with the essence that underlies every single being and every single life form on this planet. Only then will you be able to discern a weed from a flower and to know which energies, beings, and experiences will serve you and which ones will not. Sense deeper, sense multidimensionally, so as to allow the essence of what you are observing to show itself to you. Okay. It feels like, I almost said Virgo again. There's a strong Virgo energy. It kind of feels though like there's something that you're connected to, or you're trying to bring something into your physical is how it's coming through. Like trying to ground something, trying to give something form and structure. But it's not, you're connecting with its essence rather than its actual physical form, if that makes sense. So if this is a person, for example, it's like you're seeing an aspect of their soul perhaps, but you're not seeing their physical presence in your life, right? So this may be somebody that you don't know, maybe somebody at a distance to you, or something. It doesn't have to be a person. Could be like an idea, right? Or a project. You're connecting with the essence, but struggling with the physical, it feels like. And it's like the physical takes time, of course. And it's wanting you to go a layer deeper, because there's something about, you may even have multiple, it doesn't quite feel like options. I don't think that's the right way of phrasing it, but it feels kind of like the physical environment in some way has limitations in the way that it expresses a particular energy is how it's coming through. The physical is not representing the true essence of something. Okay, I need to read the physical card 1 second. Okay, when you pull the physical pillar card, it means the spirits are pointing your attention to your physical body and to the material aspects of your life. Take some time to feel what this card is showing you about your physical reality. See how the cards relate to your diet, to the nutrients you are putting into your body. Consider your exercise regimen and what kind of movement will best serve your body for where you are at right now. Take a look at your sleep regimen, your digital hygiene, which is how much time you are on a digital device, and your self-care routine. Are you getting enough rest? Are you getting enough touch? Are you honoring your sacred attention and the ways you're managing your screens? But this pillar isn't just about your physical body. The spirits are also guiding you to contemplate how the cards relate to your home life and your material reality in general. What do the elementals have to say about your career, your friends, your finances, your family, and your community? When was the last time you had your car serviced? How about your home? Are these repairs that you've been putting off? Are there repairs that you've been putting off? Are there upgrades you've been wanting to make? This card is inviting you to take stock of your physical reality and to consider the other cards in your spread throughout this perspective. And you have a lot of land cards, Aries. You're being asked to focus on your physical environment in some way. This card here, the land, animal, earth card, talks about the choices that you make that affect the earth in general, like making sure that you're choosing things that are good for the environment, the ecosystem, supporting things that are like recycling, mending, reusing things rather than like consuming fast products, fast fashion, that kind of energy. So it's kind of coming through like that for you, Aries. Maybe there's something about that you're trying to change in your life, like a new habit that's more healthy in whatever way. Could be healthy for your body, could be healthy for like your environment or the earth in general. Interesting. And all of these have sort of like a red and orangey tone to it. So I feel like there's that's actually your main focus. It's asking you to focus on your physical environment in some way. Okay. Water, waterfall, earth. There is a time for solitude, just as there is a time to commune with others. Your tribe is calling you to join in their revelry. Now is the time for you to ground into the collective spirit that nourishes the individual spirit. Your soul is longing to be fed by the company of others, and to seek deeply. Your soul is longing to be fed by the company of others, and to sink deeply into the unfolding of love's true bounty. You see, there are many kinds of love. There is love of self and love of spirit, just as there is love of nature and love of beauty, but there is nothing quite like the love that is shared between friends and family. When we spend time with those we cherish, we amplify each other's beings in profound ways. It's not just about you. Your tribe is just as well served by your time with them as you are by theirs. Yeah, it's feeling like focusing on your relationships in whatever way, the people that you cherish and care about. Perhaps it's about making healthier decisions in relationships, or healthier choices in relationships, perhaps. Very interesting. Perhaps there's something because especially with the sulfur card, that does talk about healing in some way. The sulfur is a type of medicine, but that there's something about the sulfur card which can feel kind of gross, right? That energy of both, and it's gross, but it's healing. It's stinky, but it's soothing. There's something about that may be uncomfortable. There may be something about your physical environment that feels like that. That it's not ideal, or there's an irritation perhaps with the pearl energy, like something where you're gaining the pearl through grit and irritation. You're getting something accomplished perhaps, but it's difficult or unpleasant in some way. Perhaps there's a messiness maybe that is a bit unpleasant. Because something about Virgo energy as well is kind of coming through with like order. Maybe there's a bit of like chaotic energy around you. And it's kind of saying like, work with that. It's helping you. It's helping you to bring something into the physical. Perhaps like a chaotic energy. I actually feel like there's something about like, especially with that example of like a translation process, where it's like, let's say you're communicating with something that's spiritual, because that's a translation process, right? When your guides send you a message or send you a sign, you have to translate what that means. So it could be something like that for you, where you're communicating with your guides or something like that, or something spiritual, where you have to translate the message in order to understand what's being communicated. And it's like the chaos is actually helping with that, because it actually brings in energies that you yourself might not necessarily turn to right away, or you wouldn't necessarily think of that as your first option or something like that. So it's kind of feeling like the chaos is helping you to translate something that maybe is new to you or different. But again, Aries, I don't think that you have to go out and search for it. It feels like all of that energy is being brought to you, perhaps by like your circumstances. Because especially with this card here, it feels kind of like you and this other energy are at a distance in some way. Like because it could be something, like if it's not another person, it could be. But you and whatever this other energy is, either a project, an idea, something spiritual, your guides even, could be a connection as well, where there's a distance between you. It's like you have to send messages through the spiritual. And there's a translation process. That's so interesting. So you have so many land cards that came out at the top, and now you have just water cards. So water, lake, earth, water, lake, moon, and water, river, earth. I'm going to read this one. This card talks about healing codependency. Interesting. Water, lake, moon, water, river, earth. So perhaps you've been healing codependency with the sulfur card, especially because that is coming through with like healing something. And again, there may be some unpleasantness about that, or that like, especially if you're healing codependency, part of the healing process is to be extremely independent, right? That's part of the process. Anyways, I'm going to read this one. Water, river, earth. So it says, shamans are trained to see beyond third-dimensional constructs and constraints so that they can perceive what is happening beyond the veil multidimensionally. Dear human, if you could see all the resources, gifts, and potential that your vessel holds, you would literally bow before yourself in awe and wonder. You carry within you an overwhelming spring of mental, emotional, and spiritual technology that you have inherited from your ancestors and accumulated through your own experience. There is no need to seek outside for help or answers or knowledge. You have everything you could possibly need inside of you. Tap into what you already know and what you already hold in your heart and spirit. Share and expand your inner resources so as to allow them to grow. The more you consult with yourself instead of seeking external support, the more your inner knowingness expands. Yeah, Aries. What I was saying about being really hyper independent, right? That's what this card is talking about. It's also looking to me like DNA as well. Perhaps you're trying to heal something within your physical body. But it feels more emotional to me just because you have all of this water and earth, which is interesting. Water could also represent sort of consciousness, right? Like non-physical energies. The soul in some way. I feel like you are healing something about your soul, or trying to at least, right? Like with the sulfur card, trying to heal something within your soul. It could have to do with generational patterns. It could have to do with like generational patterns of codependency or something like that. It doesn't have to be that exactly. Or generational patterns of emotional dysfunction in some way. Healing that. And I feel like part of your guidance is to do so physically, like to work with your physical environment in order to heal that emotional or watery aspect. Very interesting. So you're healing an emotional, watery soul energy through physical expression in some way. Another land card. Land, cave, moon. That card talks about going within again. Because I feel like there is, and then you have wisdom, which is an earth card as well. Because of the tree and the pine cone. It feels like an awakening process for you, Aries, but it's coming through as a physical awakening in some way. Something about your physical environment is going through an awakening process. And if you think about like your spiritual awakening, there was pain associated with that as well. Or discomfort, at least in my experience. There was discomfort. Because it's kind of like, for example, spiritual awakening where your third eye opens, right? Or becomes decalcified. You start seeing all these things, right? Perhaps you have your vision starts to come alive, or you start seeing different frequencies is what I'm hearing. I don't know how to explain that. Usually, like, it kind of comes through as being like when your third eye opens, for example. How I experience is that like any sort of psychic gifts that you may have become amplified, right? It's kind of like in those superhero movies when they first like have their gifts, when they first get their powers, like learning how to control them is like the main part of the painful process, right? Because it's like they can't control their hypersensitivity, they can't control whatever thing it is. So it's kind of like, but I feel like for you, Aries, it almost feels like this is happening for you in a physical way. It's not a spiritual awakening, it's a physical awakening. So there may be discomfort in your physical environment or something to do with your physical body, perhaps, because you're going through sort of this awakening process that is meant to heal something, right? It is meant to heal something with like a spiritual awakening. It's healing like your vision or your connection to spirit or whatever it is that you want to phrase, however you want to phrase that. This feels like a physical awakening in some way that's trying to heal something about perhaps your connection to your physical body or your physical environment, or the way that you engage with it. And it feels kind of like it's reconnecting you to like the earth, your ecosystem, so to speak, making choices that are healthy for you with a Virgo energy present, like health conscious choices, not only for yourself and your physical body, but also for your environment and the earth. And I want to say as well, like your relationships, like becoming healthier in relationships is how it's coming through. Perhaps making different choices or more conscious choices, or seeing how past choices may have not served you in some way. This card has been coming out a lot. I'm going to read it. It says Fire, Volcano, Star. It's the only fire card you have in this spread so far. Everything else is land and water. Okay. They say that with great power comes great responsibility. It's funny because I was thinking about Spider-Man when I was talking about like your power or your gifts coming online. Like Spider-Man is, I feel like, the one superhero that scene is never left out where Spider-Man's first learning to use his power, right? So there's a acclimatization process where he's like learning how to control his power. That's what's coming through for you. So with great power comes great responsibility, which is from Spider-Man. Okay, one of those great responsibilities is humility. Humble leaders understand that the power they wield is meant to serve the people. Recognize yourself as a vessel for something greater. Take care that your thoughts, words, and actions are steeped in humility while also serving the best interests of the collective. The spirits are pointing you towards a pathway that will lead you to your magnificence. Walk this path with humility, making sure to never exalt yourself above others, but to walk alongside them, inspiring and igniting them with your passion, your integrity, and your litness. Okay, Aries. It feels like you're healing something. It could be you, yourself. It could be your relationships. It could be a greater collective. You're contributing in some way. So again, with this energy of squaring the circle, you're trying to bring something into your physical environment that's like a spiritual concept, or like the word vessel is really coming through strongly, like trying to hold something that is spiritual, trying to give something physical form. But in a way, I feel like spirit is also doing that through you as a vessel for spiritual knowledge, or this energy as well. Like, how can you serve the collective? How can you be the structure that gives life to something spiritual, is how it's coming through. So in a way, it's like you're trying to do this for, like, you're trying to bring in a manifestation, but at the same time, I feel like your guides or spirit or the universe, whatever label you want to put there, is trying to use you as a vessel to put structure on something that, like, a message, something spiritual. However this resonates with you, it's like you are being used as a vessel in some way to transmit a message, to give form to something that is not tangible. It will become tangible through you, though, is how it's coming through. Okay, Aries, I'm going to leave it there. If this message resonated with you, please like, subscribe, leave a comment down below. I would love to hear from you. Thank you so much for sharing your energy with me, and I hope you have a great day. Bye.